Did I talk to you guys today? I don't even remember. I think I vaguely remember saying happy Thursday, perps. But I'm leaving work now. No, you stay right where you are, sir. Anywho, yeah, I'm leaving work now. I was talking to my coworker. I forgot how, oh, I remember. We got on the subject about like how both of us are like work nerds and how we don't like to call out of work and we're never late for work and how paranoid we are if we are. And I was saying like I've always been that type of person since I started working when I was 14. I've always been a workaholic, and on top of that, I do not like being late. I do not like being late for work or anything, and if I do call out of work, it's because I have hours to use, but I would never call out of work when I didn't have like vacation or sick time, because I just don't do that. But there was a period of time when I was going through a lot of vertigo issues, and I don't think I have any, oh no, I'm lying. One of the first 2 videos on this channel is about me, my vertigo issues, but it wasn't like vlog style. It was just me talking to the camera over the first incident that ever took place. I had to end up leaving because I started feeling really dizzy. I've been having a lot of extreme dizzy spells recently, and I was supposed to go to the doctor for it, and I have not. I had another episode just a couple days ago, and when it happens, it leaves me basically paralyzed? I wouldn't say paralyzed. What's the word I'm looking for? Immobile for up to an hour. So I don't want to be out and about when I get one of those, but I was starting to feel that way while I was in there. I could be dehydrated because I just bought some tea, but a small thing of tea, which is like too sweet. I put too much sugar in it. So I don't think that's going to really help me much. So I'm going to hurry up and go home and get some like water. But there were other incidences, is incidences a word? There were other incidents, or is, where I got it while I was at work, and it kind of really was showing how dedicated I was to work, even though like it was killing me. Hold on. So one of the situations, I'm laughing now, but it's really not funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now. But there was a time after I was taking so much time off of work because I was so sick. I was always dizzy, and I was at home and I had to go to the doctors or whatever the case is, and I was off of work for like a few weeks, and because of that I ran through all my vacation time. I ran through all of my sick time and everything, and I had no choice but to go back to work. So I decided to do overtime, but it wasn't really overtime, but to go into the office on, and I'm sorry about the lighting, I had to go into the office on a Saturday. And on Saturdays there really isn't much workers there, and where I was working, I was in an area where there were no other workers there, so it was just me all by myself. But I pushed myself to go to work knowing I was still recovering from my vertigo issue. I did not feel 100%, and I was taking a gamble by being there by myself, and I was very nervous about it, but I needed to make sure that I wasn't, hold on, what I felt like disappointing anyone or making anyone upset because I wasn't doing my job. Although it wasn't my fault, I wasn't purposely trying to not work. I physically could not work, but I still got in my car when I was like half dizzy, and I got all the way to work, and I was there for like 2 hours. And I don't know if you've ever experienced vertigo before, but like if you're looking at certain objects, sometimes certain colors or lights or whatever triggers it to make it worse. But basically I was sitting there staring at the computer screen, and it was almost as if the computer screen was like, it was like pulling me in. It was like pulling me into the screen. And it always felt like I was tilting towards the screen like this. If you will have no idea what I'm talking about unless you've actually experienced it. But I was basically being sucked into the computer screen, or at least that's what it felt like. And I was so scared, I was getting so nervous, and I was considering whether or not I should go back home and stuff, but I'm like, no, I made it all the way here. I have no time left. You know, I need to get these bills paid. I don't want to let my manager down because I've been missing all of this work and stuff like that. So I sat there for a while, and then I think I dropped something on the ground, and I'm still sitting on the chair, but I dropped something on the ground and I went to reach for whatever that was. I didn't fall, but that tilt downwards was enough for me, for my body to just be thrown into whatever. But that vertigo intensified like times a billion. Okay, I'm being a little extra, but it was really bad. And in that moment, I was like, I messed up. I said, I done messed up. Because now I'm all the way at work by myself, and I couldn't call or text Xavier to come pick me up because he was at work, and I think at that time he was having problems with his car, so he couldn't come get me. So in that moment, I either had to figure out whether or not I should, I couldn't stay there at my job, because when you're going through a serious vertigo episode, you can't sit up in your seat. So I would have had to lay out on the ground, on the ground, and just ride it out. I couldn't go into my car and lay down, because if I went into my car to lay down, at that time the AC in my car wasn't working, and it was like 95 degrees. It was like June. So I would have suffocated, and I would have been paralyzed, because when I'm in that mood, I'm paralyzed. I can't move for up, like, usually between 30 minutes to 2 hours are usually my episodes. And then, so I was like, the only thing that I can do is try and head straight home and just hope to God that I make it before like the extreme seriousness of the worst part of the episode happens. So I chose that. I chose to wing it, drive all the way home. It's maybe like a 17-18 minute drive home, in traffic, but good thing it was a Saturday, so it took like 15 minutes for me to get home. So yeah, I did that. But the way I left was like, it was crazy, because there was I had my tea like on the desk, and I didn't even drink any of it, so I left it there, just sitting out there on the desk. I didn't clock out or anything. I didn't clock out of work. I just literally just took my bag and just left everything. It was like, that's how big of an emergency it was. I made it all the way home somehow, and as soon as I got home and laid in the bed, like a minute or two, that's when the absolute worst of the episode happened. And that episode lasted for 4 hours. 4 hours I was in this state of being paralyzed. I couldn't see, I couldn't think, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't function. I was like, not nauseous, but my stomach felt very weird. And again, unless you've ever had a vertigo episode, like me describing the way it is, it was like the absolute worst thing. Like when you're in that state, you don't want anyone to even touch you. Like if the house was on fire, I wouldn't be able to move. If the house was on fire, I wouldn't want anybody else to move me. I would just want to lay there and just like get burned. Like that is how bad an episode is. I was reading an article recently, not recently, but around the time all of that was happening, and they asked in a survey of people, like people who've experienced vertigo and people who have gone through chemotherapy, like which is actually worse, and like 90% of the people said like having a vertigo episode is worse than going through chemotherapy. So that alone tells you just how bad it is. So I was thinking, like, had I not left when I left, if I was delayed by like 1 minute or 2 minutes, I would have been either stuck in my car in the middle of traffic, I would have been stuck in my hot car with no AC, and I would have suffocated to death. Or I would have been laid out on the ground at my job for like 4 hours with nobody there to help me, because again, I was sitting in this area where there was nobody there, and it was a Saturday on top of that, so there was like hardly anybody in the building. And all of that, I'm telling you, all of that story to say is, like, I basically almost killed myself just so that I wouldn't let people down at my job. Like, that's how big of a workaholic I am. And looking back now, I have to remind myself of that situation, because I'm still hard on myself when it comes to me and my work, and not just like with me like working at this job, but also with me in the business. Like, I go home and I do it all day long. Somebody was asking me today, like, what do you do in your like your free time or whatever, your spare time, or what do you do to pamper yourself? And I didn't have an answer, because my hobbies is working on my business, my hobby is working on YouTube, and those are all also jobs to me. So it's like, I don't have anything outside of working that I actually do, and I put way too much work and energy into my work, and I need to relax. There are bigger things out there than working, and I can't kill myself to work. It's not healthy. This should be a lesson to you guys too. Okay, your job doesn't always come first, and it is okay to call out of work. It is okay to have vacation. It is okay to take time off and just worry about you, because you're not gonna kill yourself just to get a paycheck or to make other people happy. It's not good. Also, with all the vertigo talk, I have not had a vertigo attack in a very long time, and I am super duper excited about it. I think I'm narrowing down to exactly what caused the issue, and I'm not gonna say anything now because I'm gonna say it and I might have to retract it later, but I'm so close. I think I finally figured it out, and once I do figure out that, I'll be able to give updates. But I have a feeling that that is tied to a lot of the other issues that I'm having right now. Like, like in the past, I was always trying to tie like what the vertigo and everything else that that's going on with my health, like how did that one thing have to do with the other? Like, what is the connection? But I feel like I finally figured it out. After all these years, and I've talked so long, the camera's actually starting to blink now. But yeah, that has nothing to do with why I told the story before. But like, that was a super scary experience though. Like, oh my gosh. And after that, I couldn't go to work for like another week, and I couldn't pick Xavier up from work that day. I didn't even have enough energy to explain to him why I couldn't pick him up. I sent 2 text messages while I was in that state. I sent a text message to him saying, hey, I can't pick you up from work. Again, I didn't say why. He didn't find out till he got home why. And then I think I ended up going to urgent care late. He took me to urgent care later on that night. And the second text was to my manager saying, yeah, I left work because I got sick again, and I didn't clock out or anything. And she was, of course, very understanding. She's such a good boss. She's not my boss now, although she still works in the company, but I always have nothing but good things to say about her. And she's like the sweetest person ever, and if it wasn't for her, man, I don't even know. Okay, all right, I'm done. Like a good portion of it, but there's something else I wanted to add, something like a personalized touch to them. So I wanted to go to, maybe the swap meet is not as bad as it sounds. I wanted to go to the swap meet and see if they might have